Today I got a question for you. I know among your so many albums, one album is very popular. People like the idea and also like this album is Go Meditation. Can you explain to us how people can use it to meditate or they also can do the other stuff? Before you answer, please subscribe our channel because we got every week new different topic for you. Subscribe and hit the notification bell and give us a thumb up.
Well, Eileen, yeah. Well, let's hear a short snatch before we go any further.
Yes.
So Gong Meditation actually is my very first Gong CD that I made. It's available on CD still in this day and age. Still, we have demand for people to get these albums by CD. So we still have it available in a CD format, but it's also available in an audio file. You can get it on MP3, and also we've taken to offering it on the WAV format, which is an enhanced. It's kind of equivalent to CD quality. In any event, as we say in these videos, all the details about how you can obtain this album and all the others that we have on offer, Sonic Blessings albums and Gordon Coxon albums, are down below.
Okay.
So check out the details below.
Yes. So please, first of all, I'm curious about this photo. What's this photo?
Oh, there's a story with the photo as well. Now we always have to be very concise in these videos, but I could tell you a whole story about that.
Oh,
video.
no, don't.
But it's
30 seconds less.
It's dawn, or it's sun rising on at the top of the sacred mountain in Sri Lanka called Shripada. And it has this curious effect of the reflection of the sun of the mountain. This is a kind of a pilgrimage site for just about, any kind of spiritual path that you can name. Buddhists and Muslims and Christians, all kinds of religions, and none go on pilgrimages there and climb the mountain overnight, and for the sunrise in the morning, and you get this on a clear day. You get the outline of the mountain reflected in the sky, and it's a perfect triangle, as you can see in the photo.
Yeah.
And
why you pick these photos?
Well, I don't know. I just thought it was very apt, really, because it was on that trip to Sri Lanka that some years before I made this album, that kind of was pivotal in me becoming a gong player, actually. So it was actually quite a nice thing to tie in with my first album. This is my first gong album that I made.
Oh, yeah. So can you tell us that why many people, thousands of people like this album?
Now this, Eileen, I think it's kind of surprised me because, you're always, when you're making albums, you're always keen to you're most excited about the most recent or more recent albums. You think, oh, I've progressed since then. This is all brilliant, these new albums. But the thing is that album has retained its popularity. It's one of the most popular albums that we have over the years. And I think it's because it's very easy to get into and understand what the intention behind the album was.
So what's your intention?
Well, the clue is in number one, the title of the album, Gong Meditation, which kind of helps, I think. Titles of albums are really important, and that one's just so obvious what it's kind of intended for. And the other reason is that there's 2 tracks. I think they're each about 20, 25 minutes. I can't remember. I think around between 20 and 25 minutes, I think, each.
One is 20, one is 25.
And the giveaways in the title, really, one's called Morning, and then the second one is Evening. So
it's not a meditative name.
Yeah, I know, but it's kind of gives you an idea of if you want to do, crudely, simply, if you want to do a meditation with
music,
with the music which will enhance and empower your meditation, this is the thinking behind it. Then the morning one is kind of more of an active, effervescent kind of intention behind it, and the sound of the gongs are more like that. Whereas the evening one is more relaxing and kind of, let's say, taking stock of the day kind of atmosphere it creates. And the interesting thing I found over the years is how many people embrace that and find that, I've suggested that when I've made the album, and it's kind of what I've thought would be appealing to people, and it's extraordinary how much that has paid off over the years. The number of people who've come back to me and said, Gordon, playing the morning one when I'm,
before they
beginning
go
of kind of at the beginning of the day, or in the early part of the day, or playing the evening one in the later part of the day, it really works. And that is for people that are actually sitting down and doing a meditation practice. But of course, that's the nature with all these albums. You can use them for multiple things.
Yeah, really. I'm about to ask. For instance,
right. Okay. Well, I would suggest that the morning one's really good for anything that you're doing that's active as well. So, for example, if you're doing a yoga practice or some kind of exercise practice, it's not like doing it to a sort of upbeat dance track, but it's kind of more meditative than that. But it's kind of, I like the word effervescent. It's kind of it gives you a lift, I think. And so for anything active, actually, I mean, I think it's really an interesting tie up. And then for the evening, anything, I mean, that one is really one for, I think it's also good for, what's the word? I used the phrase earlier, taking stock. That's one thing something we, if we don't, it's always a really good thing to get into the habit of, towards the end of the day, to kind of take stock of what you've been doing in the kind of active part of the day, when you're relaxing in a repose, to kind of consider what you've done, what you've achieved, what's been a positive things. We have this, Eiling and I do, what have we been grateful for at the end of the day, right at the end of the day. What have we been grateful? We actually share it to each other. And I think that that's a really good thing to do, but taking stock and thinking about perhaps what's going to happen in, the next day. So I think taking stock is
I got a silly question to you. Can I listen the evening in the morning? Can I listen evening track in the evening?
The other thing I was going to say was that another feedback that I get from all these albums is the different ways that people feedback to me how and when they're listening to them. A really popular one for many of the albums, including this one, is when you're in a long journey or when you're commuting to work. For example, I would suggest if you're going into what you think could be potentially a stressful environment, perhaps you're going to work and you've got a kind of a stressful interview with your boss, for example. Maybe you're going in to ask for a raise, or you've got some kind of issue that you've got to deal with, which is potentially stressful. Then I would suggest that, and you're going to work in the morning, well, perhaps the evening one might be good in that instead, because it's kind of it's kind of relaxing. Yeah, very relaxing. That would be an example.
Good. So that's about the story about this album. And we have longer clips for audience to listen, right?
Yeah, I think the other thing that I wanted to point out about this album was it is the first album I made, and the quality of it is still really good, and I'm really still happy about the playing and everything of it on it. The interesting thing I think is that many of my subsequent albums and many of the work that you and I have done together, we've used not only sort of lots of different gongs, but then many different other instruments and so on.
Yes.
And this one is made
gongs.
with just a couple of gongs.
Yeah.
2 gongs
Yeah.
and a couple of Chinese cymbals. So it's kind of interesting.
Very simple, but it's good
simple,
to
but
meditate.
effective.
Yeah,
very simple but effective. And I mean, we've got a lot of gongs that these days that we can use. And you often see people with great big arrays of gongs that they play on videos and so on. And I very often like to play just 2 or 3 gongs at the same time. I think it's very effective, and you can really get them singing together.
Good.
Amazingly, even today, it's 2020, folks. This album was made some years ago that I would not have believed that there was still great demand for this album. So many years later, it's still available on CD. If you want to get it on CD, please, look at the information.
But even people buy the MP3 or Wi-Fi, they still can get this photo, right? Beautiful photo. Yeah.
I always put in when we do the MP3. I'm not sure you do this in the China, but it's easily possible to do this. But I do try and include kind of a PDF or whatever with the image and also some of the album notes that go on the CD. So if you get a download, which I can also recommend, the MP3 and the enhanced WAV file, so a choice you might like to make, you will get the album sleeve notes, so you'll get all that stuff as well.
Great. So here is our longer clips, and we see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.